Right now in Fairfax County, the defense, the attorney for Brendan Banfield, is making its case in his murder trial. This is a live look inside the courtroom right now. Banfield's attorney, John Carroll, tried to get his charges thrown out today, saying prosecutors failed to make their case. The judge disagreed. The trial continued on and more witnesses took the stand. Joining us now is Katie Lusso. And Katie, I know you and we started the day together watching the proceeding kick off at 10 a.m.
Right.
And immediately, right out of the gate, the defense called back one of the responding officers from that morning, and we were able to watch more of his body camera footage.
Yeah, we saw Zachary Beckner get called back up to the stand. This is somebody who had testified pretty early on for the prosecution. Well, today the defense called him up to the stand, and they played his full body camera footage, all of the footage from the moment he arrived to the Banfield residence the morning of February 24th, 2023, leading up to the moments detectives arrived in the hospital room where Brendan Banfield had been taken. I want you to look at some video from today inside the courtroom as the body camera footage was being played. You can see Brendan there wiping away tears. Now, this is the moments where he's hearing the details of what had happened to his wife. So leading up to this, investigators took Banfield to the hospital. At the same time, Christine Banfield was being transported to the hospital as well because she was still breathing, but she had those multiple stab wounds. At points, we heard Brendan in the body camera footage saying, "Where's my daughter?" Then they're talking about the blood. I want you to take a listen, though, to the moments that he learned his wife had died.
I was trying to apply pressure.
Yeah. I mean, those were enormous wounds, and it's not.
There were so many.
Yes, and the neck is not compressible, so it's not possible really to stop all the blood loss. And her airway, it seems like, was in the midline okay. She was able to be intubated. Everything that was possible to be done was done for her right away. You did a wonderful, you did everything that was possible. It's not a survivable injury.
All right, so really emotional stuff there. And then we went on to hear the chaplain praying with Brendan in the hospital room. And this is all moments after he found out that his wife had not survived those injuries.
That's right. And this is also the moment that the officer had allowed Brendan Banfield to wash his hands, which, was at one point brought up on the prosecution side as well. What is happening now as the day unfolded?
Right. So we actually have learned that court has just ended for the day. So they've ended early once again.
We did see Judge Escarati get up. Yeah.
Yep. So this is the second day in a row now. They've ended early, but we're hearing that they are going to be back in court tomorrow starting at 9:30 a.m. So earlier than they had been previously starting, and are expecting to stay there later. I know one of the last conversations before they ended for the day was they were discussing that snowstorm. And if you've been tuning into the streaming show WUSA 9+, you heard Frank and I talking about that before. It is the judge's decision whether or not the courthouse is closed for a snowstorm. So that's some of what they had been discussing. Before, though, they left for the day, we also heard testimony from several other witnesses. We heard a bloodstain expert. We also heard from a former Fairfax County Police Department forensics investigator. He's still with the department, but in a different capacity. I want you to take a listen to the exchange between John Carroll and that former forensics investigator for the department.
I was able to determine that it was her phone used in the creation of that account based on a variety of returns.
And did you make any conclusions at that time that she had not given up her devices?
I had nothing indicating loss of dominion and control at that time.
Okay, and that's what your finding was as per that particular day, correct?
Yes.
Has that changed?
Yes.
When did that change?
A co-defendant admitted to using the devices.
Okay. Has it digitally, in terms of digital forensic artifacts, has that changed?
No, the zeros and ones did not change.
Okay, so, and zeros and ones, that's binary, right?
Yes.
So your conclusions based on zeros and ones are still the same?
Yes.
The only additional factor is the co-defendant adopted a different story.
I was provided additional information that had to be taken into account, yes.
And just a little more context there, the prosecution did come back and ask him some follow-up questions. And she specifically said, you know, there needs to be corroboration to put someone behind the screen. How do you confirm that one person was behind the screen? And he kind of essentially said, you can't. So this is all based on science. He's going off of the science of where that phone was in the home. And he believes Christine never lost control, but how do you prove that?
Right. We do know that defense has a lengthy witness list. We got through a few today. I'm sure tomorrow with that early start time, we'll get through a lot more. Thank you, Katie, so much. For more than a week now, we have been taking you live inside the courtroom for every moment of this live coverage of this trial. There are several ways to stay connected and up to date on this case. You can watch all of our coverage streaming on WUSA 9 Plus and on our YouTube channel, WUSA 9. And we have been seeing your questions. Continue to keep them coming for Katie and our legal expert. Meanwhile, new council member